Hello dear students, this video is for class 6th, subject science. In this video, we are going to revise our chapter number 11th, that is motion and measurement of distances. In this video, we will study about the different topics like we will study about the story of transport, we will learn about the measurement, standard unit of measurement, we will also learn about the measurement of length, how we can measure the length of an object, what the precautions we should take to measure the length of an object. We will also learn about the concept of rest and motion. Then we will study about different types of motion like translatory motion, circular motion, rotatory motion, oscillatory motion, vibratory motion, and then at last periodic and non-periodic motion. So firstly, let us start. Let us learn about the story of transport. See dear students, in the ancient times, when no means of transports were available, people travelled mainly on their foot. What they used to do, they carried their luggage on their back. After some time, when the domestication of animals starts, human beings started using animals such as horse, camel, elephant for transportation and for carrying their goods from one place to another. Then later on, the invention of wheel occurs. Now what happens? The carts pulled by animals were used to travel from one place to another. And then after some time, the invention of steam engine introduced a new source of power. It led to the development of trains and automobiles. These inventions greatly reduced the time to travel. And today, the electric trains, aeroplanes, supersonic jets, and high-speed automobiles have further reduced the time to travel. So this is the story of transport. Now let us study about the measurement. So dear students, measurement is the process of comparing the unknown quantity of an object to be measured with a standard unit of measurement. See, any quantity that can be measured is called a physical quantity like time, distance, length and mass. They all are the physical quantities because they can be measured. Now let us study about standard unit of measurement. In earlier times, what happened? People used different parts of their body to measure the length. Suppose in order to measure the length of an object, they uses hand span, foot, cubit, pace. But later on, what they realized that these things, these units cannot be used as a standard unit of measurement. And the reason was that as the length of the body parts varies from person to person, it is not same for all the person. So people realized the need of a standard unit of measurement. See, standard unit of measurement are those that have a fixed quantity or value and therefore do not vary from person to person and place to place. So it is necessary to have a standard unit of measurement for the sake of uniformity and convenience in measurement. We can learn about standard unit of various physical quantities. Firstly, see the standard unit of length is meter, the standard unit of time is second, the standard unit of mass is kilogram, and the standard unit of temperature is Kelvin. So these are the standard unit of some of the physical quantities. Now let us learn about measurement of length. See dear student, length is the distance between any two points or places. Width, depth, thickness, distance and height are all the measurements of length. Length can be measured with the help of a ruler, a measuring tape, a meter rod, etc. See, to measure the small length or short distance, we can use the smaller units. Okay, like in order to measure the small object, we can use the units centimeter in place of meter. And suppose we want to measure more smaller unit, then we can use a little more smaller units like millimeters. And in order to measure the long distance or large length, we can use the bigger units like we can use the kilometers in order to measure the length of long distance. See dear students, the units which are used to measure smaller quantities are called the submultiples of units. And the units which are used to measure the larger quantities, they are called the multiples of units. Now let us understand The precautions to be taken while using a scale. See, dear students, in order to measure the length of an object, firstly, what we have to do, we have to place the scale along the object in such a way that the zero mark of the scale coincides with the left end of the object. The length of the object is then obtained by reading the scale division coinciding with the right end of the object. See, there are some of the precautions which we should take while measuring the length. Firstly, the first precaution is the placement of a scale. See, the scale should be placed with the object along its length. If we place it at any angle, then our reading will not be correct. So we should take care about the placement of a scale. Our second precaution is worn out ends. Sometimes what happens, the end of the scale may get damaged. So in such case, what we should do, we should measure the length of the object starting from any other mark of a scale. Then we should subtract the reading of this mark from the reading of other end. Our third precaution is the position of the eye. See, the correct position of the eye is also important for taking the measurement. Our eye must be focused exactly above the end point of which we are taking the measurement. So these are some of the precautions we should take while measuring the length of the object. Otherwise, our reading will not be correct. Now let us understand the measuring the length of a curved line. See, dear students, we cannot measure the length of a curved line directly by using a meter scale. The length of a curved line can be measured by using a piece of thread. So you can measure the length of curved line using a piece of thread. Our next topic is concept of rest and motion. See, any object is said to be at rest if its position remains constant with respect to the stationary object in its surrounding, while an object is said to be in motion if it changes its position with respect to stationary object in its surrounding. This is the main difference between rest and motion. See, rest and motion are relative terms. Means object that appears to be in motion in relation to one observer may appear to be at rest in relation to the another observer. So that is why rest and motion are known as the relative terms. Now let us study about different type of motions one by one. Our first type of motion is translatory motion. See, dear students, when all the parts of an object move the same distance in a given time, then the motion of an object is said to be translatory motion. Basically, translatory motion is of two types. First one is rectilinear motion and second one is curvilinear motion. Let us study about each type one by one. Let us see firstly the rectilinear motion. When an object moves along a straight line, its motion is called the rectilinear motion. For example, a car moving in a straight line. This is an example of rectilinear motion. Now come to curvilinear motion. When an object moves along a curved line, its motion is called the curvilinear motion. For example, a car moving along a curved path follows a curvilinear motion. Now come to circular motion. When an object moves along a circular path, it is said to be in a circular motion. For example, motion of the moon around the earth is an example of circular motion. Now let us discuss about the rotatory motion. An object is said to be in rotatory motion if it moves about a fixed axis without changing its position. For example, a spinning top. A spinning top possesses rotatory motion. Now let us discuss about oscillatory motion. See, when an object moves to and fro about its mean position, its motion is called oscillatory motion. For example, the motion of a swing. It is an example of oscillatory motion. The pendulum of a clock. It is also an example of oscillatory motion. Now let us discuss about vibratory motion. The motion in which a part of an object always remains fixed and do not move, while the rest of the object moves to and fro in a definite pattern is called vibratory motion. We can take an example of a vibratory motion as expansion and contraction of chest during breathing. It is an example of vibratory motion. Now let us discuss periodic motion. See, a motion that repeats itself after regular interval of time is called periodic motion. For example, the swinging pendulum of a wall clock. It is an example of periodic motion. Now come to non-periodic motion. The motion that does not repeat itself at regular intervals of time is called non-periodic motion. For example, the swinging of our arms or legs is an example of non-periodic motion because it does not repeat itself after a regular interval of time. See, dear students, sometimes an object poses two or more types of motion also at the same time. So this type of motion is called multiple motion. A boy riding a bicycle is an example of multiple motion. See, the wheels of a bicycle rotate and at the same time moves forward in a straight or curved path. That means it has rotatory motion also. Because the wheels of a bicycle rotate, it has rectilinear motion because it is moving in a straight line. So this is all about this chapter. I hope you understand each and every concept. Please do your revision properly.